Welcome to another edition of Midwest Ghost Hunters Dark Matter podcast. Today, we're going to be reviewing EVPs we caught at an investigation in Mt Vernon, Missouri years ago. Welcome to another edition of Midwest Ghost Hunters Dark Matter podcast, live today from Pythian Castle in Springfield. We're going to try to actually do the review of the investigation we did in Mt Vernon years ago. I'm John, Chris, Melissa, Tyler, and Bobby all here today.
Yeah, our plan last time was to do this, review this Mt Vernon investigation, but then we had so much stuff happening here at Pythian Castle, we abandoned it, and hopefully we can get it. What is that? What do we got?
It's an EMF.
Oh, you got an EMF go.
I brought an EMF coming in here.
Okay.
Just because last time, you know.
Yeah, last time, the reason we didn't get to...
we had a lot of stuff.
The reason we didn't get to do the Mt Vernon last time is because we had a lot of vocals happening that we could hear, you know, through our microphones and with our ears, and then something touched me on the left side of my freaking neck that felt cold, and I don't like that. But I've never had that before either. Never had that before. I keep pulling my hood up so it doesn't happen again.
Cold and fingery.
Cold and phalange-y.
If you're just joining us and you didn't catch our episode last time, the case in Mt Vernon, can you kind of reset that a little bit?
Yeah,
with
we
the
probably should go over that again. It was in Mt Vernon, and the house was sat near what is currently known as, what did I say that was called? The Hillcrest Cemetery. Mm-hmm. Hillcrest Cemetery, and it was once called the Old Sanatorium Cemetery. That's where they buried people who died of tuberculosis in the Sanatorium Hospital in Mt Vernon, which still stands there, the Missouri Tuberculosis Sanatorium, but it's empty. So the building is still there. This house is just down the road from it. And the cemetery where they used to bury people who died there was right there near the house. At least the Hillcrest Cemetery, the current day cemetery, is like across the street. If you look at maps old enough, it kind of shows that original cemetery crossed over into the lot where the house is now. And we were saying last time, back in the day, to save money, maybe even current day, they would move the headstones and leave the bodies. We can't say that happened. But it did happen before.
It did happen in other areas of the state.
Yeah. And this was the house where they were on a Skype. It was actually, I said last time, the dad and the son, but it was the mom and the son were on a Skype with her sister in another state. And the sister said, asked who else was home because there was a person standing behind them. And as soon as she asked, the person walked away. And there was nobody else home at the time. So they had a lot of activity like that. And then we went down there and did our investigation. This is when the guy, his name was Paul. He was interested in the paranormal, not as someone who went out and did investigations, not as someone who watched a bunch of ghost shows, but just like you might, he was just interested. You care if I stay? And we didn't care if he stayed during the investigation. You would have never known the man was there. He sat in the living room in the pitch dark.
Didn't move.
We would forget he was there.
He did not move.
He didn't make a sound.
We need more Pauls.
I know. He was
Sounds like a cool dude.
He really was. He was a super nice guy. He sat just stone silent in the living room while we did our whole thing around him. And then we did catch a lot of activity there.
Do we know who owns the sanatorium now?
I've contacted them. Yes, but there's an individual whose name I was given who I've emailed with. Remember we talked about going down there, but then I said it would, because we were going to do it, and then we were going to do this other facility, and then the facility ended up, I don't even remember, the facility ended up selling or going away, and I was talking to both places at the same time. Still talking to them. I would love to. It's huge. I mean, it's gigantic.
I'd really like to do that one.
I know. So we'll I'll get back in contact with them and see if we can get it, because that would be awesome. That is a big
We got a bunch of places we got to go.
Place, I know. We got a bunch of places we could go anytime,
Not
really.
a complaint. I love that.
Yeah, I know. I like having places that we can go, just whenever we want. And we do have a bunch of those right now. And we'll definitely do some of those this summer. This is the place, if you've ever heard us each talk about the one event that happened that made you start really honestly believing in paranormal activity. This one was Dustin's.
Yes.
Because we were there, and we'll play the audio here in a minute. We were there and in the kid's bedroom, and Dustin looked at me. His eyes were huge. He's like, "Did you just hear that?" And I was with him, and I was like, "I did hear that. It's a little kid." And he's like, "It's right in here." He was in the closet. And Dustin was afraid that what had happened was that we had been set up, that Paul was actually some crazy guy that had lured us there, and he's got kids in the closet, and that we were going to, Dustin actually said, "I was afraid I was going to turn around, there was going to be a gun pointed at us."
See, the bigger problem
was
with
that loud.
The bigger problem with that would have been the fact that I would have already been taken out by Paul, because
You would have been dead somewhere.
I was in the living room area listening for some stuff there. And so if Paul had have been that guy and showed up, I would have been the first one dead. So that would have been a bad night.
By that point, you would have been room temperature.
Yeah.
But luckily that wasn't the case. Paul was actually a super cool guy. And that was just a sound that we heard inside that bedroom that we could not explain. We got a bunch. So let's go ahead and start with the EVP. I'm reading through because, like I said, if you heard us do these reviews before, a lot of times we haven't heard these in a long time. This is one of those where we use the Frank's box. We're not even going to play because we've thrown that piece of equipment out as being a legitimate, useful piece of equipment because you can never tell with radio static and all that stuff. Even if what we caught there might be legitimate, we're not even going to play that one, so we'll just throw that one out because we don't use that anymore.
Same reason we don't use wireless mics anymore at investigations.
Yeah, they can pick up all kinds
There's the possibility that something could get on that, whereas these, it cannot.
So let's go. We're going to play EVP number 1. I'm going to read the description here for the first time in many years. Was caught by 2 iPhone recorders. Was missed by the EVP recorder set up only feet away. Oh, this is the one. This is the one that me and Dustin heard. We heard it, and then we stopped the audio and listened. So let me go ahead now. And remember, this is going to go to SoundCloud. So I'm going to be quick on the draw here to make sure we don't roll into 2 pieces. All right, let's go ahead and go to number 1. And if you've ever heard Dustin talk about the moment that he became an actual believer in paranormal activity, this is the one right here.
Dustin becomes a believer.
Oh, what was that? What? What's this? Did you hear that? Here, hang on. Let's rewind the tape. Here, I have it on my phone too. Yeah, rewind it. Right there. Here, you do it.
Okay, so it was right there at the beginning. Let me go ahead and roll back. How do I roll this thing back? Here we go. Okay, right here. Right there.
What was that? What?
Did you hear it? Now, it was pouring down rain. We've had, at one point, good Lord, stop. At one point, we thought, could it be a dog or something, or someone outside? There was no dog, and it was pouring down rain the whole time. There was nobody outside, and it clearly came from inside. So let me go ahead and play it again.
What was that? What?
Right there. Okay, that you can hear the kid in that one, but as I look through these, like we said, we haven't heard these in a long time, and we probably should do a little bit of review before we start recording, but whatever, we haven't heard these in a while, and we're kind of doing it as we go here. I don't think that was the one. I think it, and I could be wrong here. I think it's this one here. I'm going to go ahead and pull this one up and play it real quick, and we'll see if maybe this is the one where we heard it.
So they little thing, yeah.
There it is. That's it.
So that was the one where Dustin heard it with his ears, I believe. I mean, we got a couple more audio pieces that we'll bring up here, but I'm pretty sure that was it. I haven't heard I haven't heard that in many, many years. This is the one. So we talked earlier about the possibility of the tuberculosis thing. Now, this is the one where we actually heard the coughing.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yes. Yeah, I remember this.
It was raining hard and cold at the time, so it couldn't have been anybody else. I'm just reading through the description we put up here, so let's go ahead and just pull it up and play it because I can't specifically remember.
There.
So there was the coughing that we were referring to that could possibly be related to the tuberculosis. Who knows?
Our theory was that it's little kids who had tuberculosis years ago.
So let's see. I'm reading through these. Sorry, it's just kind of clunky here because I haven't seen some of these in a long time. That is the Frank's box one. Okay, and then that is another Frank's box. Hang on, we're gonna have to.
Frank's box sucks.
We used to use it, and we just got rid of it. I think it was Ty.
I've never heard of it called a Frank's box.
Yeah, that was originally what they could call the ghost box.
Yeah, it was Ty that pointed out that, hey, couldn't this be other radio signals and stuff like that?
He pointed that out on a podcast.
Yeah.
Remember? We were doing the old podcast,
right.
And it's like, you know what?
Yeah.
If we're having to ask that question, we probably just should quit using it.
Well, but he's right. He's right. It absolutely could be. And at the same time, that's when I said, you know what else could be that way is wireless mics.
Yeah, and so when we refer to a Frank's box, that was what they used to call the ghost box, which is a thing that scans, the radio frequencies. That's way overused. It and the ovulus.
Well, and
It's overused because you can catch a lot of stuff
You
with
can,
it
sure, yeah, you can catch something for sure.
that may or may not be a person saying a word.
I mean, yeah, when
and a
activity
lot of paranormal groups do that because it's fun to catch stuff.
when activity starts, dying down, you can pull out the Frank's box and get some.
Yeah.
Almost guaranteed.
Yeah.
And we weren't using it for that reason necessarily, but we did realize that we were using it when activity would, well, let's go ahead and get the Frank's box out and see if we can get anything there.
Right.
We weren't using it to catch, things that we didn't think were actual activity, but that's, we were using it as filler whenever nothing else was happening. So, I mean, all the other audio we have from that place is from the Frank's box. We used it that much. So really the cough, I thought we had another, but we really don't. I mean, but I didn't realize how much we used the Frank's box back then.
Even if you listen to those audio clips of us using the Frank's box, you cannot differentiate between what may or may not be someone in the room with you saying a word and a disc jockey.
No,
saying
that's
a word.
right. That's absolutely right.
Because it cycles through those radio stations so fast, and it's just supposed to scan the white noise, but it doesn't always just scan white noise. Every once in a while, you'll hear somebody announce,
and the problem with white noise, too, if you know anything about radio signals, and we always used to say that you got a lot more Frank's box activity on nights when it was storming, and that's because of paranormal. No, not necessarily. Because if you know anything about radio signals, what's called atmospherics really begins to wreak havoc with stuff. There are situations where during an ice storm in 1980s, there was a time that a 100,000 watt FM from Springfield, Missouri bounced into Los Angeles clear as day.
Yeah, that atmospheric skipping starts.
And it overrode a radio station in Los Angeles for the better part of a day because of weather conditions that were going on. It shot the radio frequency that far.
That stuff is a whole science itself.
Yeah. If the
people
atmosphere
study
is just
that.
right, it's like skipping a rock across the water. It can go and go and go.
But
and
like
go.
you have the Frank's box, and it would scan. You would hear white noise, white noise, white noise. McDonald's, white noise, white noise.
Right.
And you go, oh, the ghost is hungry. Like,
That's exactly what happened.
it's just
He's
an
right.
ad.
He's right.
Yeah, it
That's
does.
exactly what would happen with those
Or you just hear
situations.
like a blurb of a word.
What's your name? Bill. And there's just, and his name is Bill.
Yeah,
it's
just
a
like that.
Yeah.
No, not necessarily.
So that is, not to get off on too much of a rant about the ghost box, but I did not realize that 2 of the 5 pieces that we had, from this house were from that. I probably should just take them off there because we don't use that thing anymore. And I'm not even going to play them here because, like we just said, it's there's no way to prove what it is or isn't.
See, that's the little kids that we.
You guys hear something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it.
That's why I've been keeping one ear. I heard it here, though, but not here.
Heard a female.
I heard it through my headphones.
I heard it through the headphones.
We'll have to mark that spot and listen. Maybe we'll start getting some activity in here again.
And the only 2 in the room were not talking. So
Oh, females. I was like, what? There's more than 2 of us.
If you're in here, you can touch Chris again.
I don't want that.
Yes. Touch him all over.
Oh, that might invite the sex ghost back
Yeah.
in here. You might get some all kinds of activities stirred up.
We had that one sex ghost that was interested in Chris over at Ashley's.
It wasn't me. You're the one who heard it. It was closer to you.
Dude, she was macking for you.
Well, the day we caught it here, you guys were both in here alone.
What's macking mean?
Means that the sex ghost wants you.
Oh, no.
Even the undead don't want me. I mean, that's just the reality of the world we live in.
I've been kind of thrown off, as we've been reviewing this whole Mt Vernon thing anyway, because of that what happened last time. It freaked me out. I was afraid to go to the bathroom by myself. I'm never, I wasn't afraid, but I don't like that feeling.
When something comes into contact with you, and I'm not talking about you heard it, but I'm talking about it
Feeling,
you're
yeah.
feeling it. It will mess you up.
And we've done this a long time. I've never felt that before. It was just like I described to you. When a little kid's carrying around a can of Dr. Pepper and then they touch your leg. It's just like that. Those little
real
cold
specific.
fingertips. I guess it could be Coca-Cola.
Sprite.
Sprite. What have you?
I've been kind of waiting for that moment, but I've never been touched to the point where I can be sure. I've had
Just
a muscle
haven't-
spasm in my back where it scared the hell out of me, but
Yes, I've had that too, where the jump, it's like, oh, there's something just
You
poking me in the
just
back.
haven't been in the right place at the right time.
This was
yet.
none of that for sure. For 100% sure, none of that that happened with me. I've never felt anything like that. I don't know why it happened. I don't even remember what the hell we were talking about. I lost my train of thought completely.
Well, all that other stuff was happening. We were just kind of.
Yeah, we were talking about the whispers.
Had we yet
heard.
asked someone to be touched?
No.
You just
It just happened, and then we started asking.
You just got touched.
Yeah.
I
Not
want
just
Mac
now.
all over you.
Got Mac on, man.
Come Mac all over Chris.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, I've been kind of a little thrown off since then. Especially, I mean,
That surprises me.
that
That rattled you.
it really
It
did.
does not surprise me at all because
No?
I've never had it.
I've been in Willard. When I was in Willard that night, I couldn't even talk. And when we were going down the hall and I looked back and it was just this feeling, something was running right up on me. It's pitch dark. I couldn't see anything. And then it blew in my ear.
Well, I didn't have such warning. I had no warning. I don't like that.
And I've never seen him throw headphones off, ever.
It's a wonder I didn't spill my coffee on
wonder
you.
you didn't
I
shouldn't
kind of
bail.
feel bad for laughing so hard, but it was
It was great.
funny. It
Yeah, I
was
wish I
funny.
could have
I'm
seen
sorry.
it. Or I
Oh,
wish
it's
it would
good
happen to
stuff.
someone else.
It was good
and
stuff.
this
It is
is
funny
why-
when it happens to someone else.
This
We
is
need to
why
put
we
a
need
camera on
camera
us.
in here.
Yeah.
I know.
See,
We've
you
talked
realize
about that.
you realize that if that would have happened to me, you'd still be laughing.
Oh, I know.
You'd
it
still-
would have been over
you'd
for the
still be
day.
laughing,
Yeah,
you know?
it would have been over for the whole day.
That audio of when you were scared was great too.
Not so much.
It was pretty great.
Not so much. It was
Well,
good stuff though.
I've never had that happen. We've done this a long time. I've never had that happen. We've asked it to happen before, but it's never happened. I didn't ask it for this. This.
See,
this
you
time.
actually handled it pretty well because I'm afraid if something grabbed me, I'm afraid
It wasn't even a grab. It was hard to describe.
doesn't matter. If that would have occurred with me, I think you'd have had another door in here.
John-sized hole in the wall.
And if I'm ever, like I said, if I'm ever running, you should be too.
Well, I hope you tie your shoes before you start running.
John's shoes.
probably won't.
John's
My shoes
have-
are always untied.
John's shoes have been untied since he was 1 year old.
Yeah.
That's just the way it goes.
It's because my feet are so big. That's what happens here.
So we do have things coming. I don't even know where we are in time. Honestly, I'm kind of sidetracked, but we do have things coming up, that we're going to do. Taya's idea of Mars Hill, we could do that anytime. We could do that anytime we want because that is just literally just going out into an open field.
I mean,
where
we haven't been outside in a long time.
I know, and we haven't been outside at all since we have decent recording equipment.
We
and-
haven't been outside since Mars Hill.
Well, and we've purposefully avoided it because of Mars Hill, but we haven't really thought about the fact that we have better stuff now that we could be able to filter some of that stuff out. But no, we haven't. Remember, we were invited to go to like a haunted forest of some kind.
Oh,
Or
yeah, I
it was
don't
like
know
The haunted road in Branson.
I can't be for 100% sure where that even is, but I don't know about going out into an active road.
There's a haunted road in Branson.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be a haunted road in Verona too. Right by Verona Beach, supposedly.
The
Find
story
it.
with the road in Branson is that they were going along, and all of a sudden
We got a big email from a guy.
real deep, a real heavy fog appears.
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, that's not necessarily haunted. That means you're in Branson.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden they hear trains running on the train track that's not there, and so then they started walking back. And they looked up and they saw a big, huge house.
Yeah, with the lights on
The
inside.
lights
Yeah.
were on and everything in there, and they didn't think anything about it. They kept going, and when they finally got some help and went back, the house that was there on the hill had burned down years ago.
In the daytime, they went back. Yeah,
Yeah.
this guy emailed us about this big, I'm not going to say story. I mean, he swore that it was the freakiest thing that he'd ever had before, and he didn't believe in the haunted road, but went out there. And that's what he said happened. They saw the house with the lights on inside, and I don't think the train thing happened to them. He was just saying this is some of the stuff that people have experienced over the years. But they did see. He says they did see the house with the lights on, and when they went back, and then they saw the fog, the mist, and then the mist like turned into a human shape, is what he said. And then that's when we started talking a little bit about pareidolia and stuff like that, especially when you're out in the woods.
Well, and you get down in that area, and if you've ever been outside at all, you can hear bunny rabbits. If a rabbit screams or something, and it's
Bloody murder!
Oh,
It
yeah.
sounds like a person being stabbed.
it
to
does.
death.
It
Yeah.
does.
For a rabbit scream, horrible bloody murder. If
Sounds
you
like a
don't live in
woman,
the
yeah.
Midwest,
Well, and what else? If you get into
Bobby's never heard it. I can tell by her
just
face.
imagine a 60-year-old lady being stabbed horribly.
Yeah, it sounds like a woman screaming.
and you know what? Pigs do too. Pigs sound that way.
Owls screech
Pigs sound that
loud.
way, and if you get down to some of those wild pigs that we've had a problem with here in Missouri, and if it hits those hollows and stuff down there, and that then reverbs around, and then the trees can absorb the
yeah,
sound,
a
and
lot
it'll
of
change the sound.
People that don't live in the Midwest or where bunnies are don't know that they make horrible devil-like noises.
Yeah, they really do. I mean, deer can make a human.
I
breath sound.
thought everybody knew that, but apparently not. So it needs to be said, I guess.
I mean,
So-
I've heard that they make noises like that, but I'm very much an inside type of person. So I have not heard
they do.
the
They
wildlife
really do.
noises at night.
They really do.
it is a horrifying
I've
sound.
lived out in the country and I've never.
It's
But usually when I hear stuff, I'm like, what the heck?
and I think I've heard it's like when they're dying,
When they're dying?
they do like a death scream.
Yeah.
So how many rabbits have you heard die?
I've heard a couple
Oh my god.
in my time.
They just die whenever he appears. But yeah, their animals can make all kinds of sounds, but sounds weren't necessarily even the issue with the road that we were talking about in Branson. It was the more visual stuff like the mist. I think he said the mist turned into a human form.
Yeah,
is
I
what
don't
he
know.
said.
It just, I don't know.
A little bit.
It was starting to get a little. It was starting to get a little out
It got
there for me.
real sorted because
Yeah.
remember how many pages it was? I was like, holy shit, did this guy really send me like 9 pages?
Yeah.
And I was
was
reading
bizarre.
it really for the first time on the podcast. But yeah, there is a haunted road. And what we were talking about is outside investigations and going back to Mars Hill. I think we should and take our stuff that we have now down there and because we caught voices in there. I mean, it's known to have activity. There's a known like light or something that appears down there. I can't even remember. I'd have to re-research it. That's been so long ago. But it would be cool to go down there and do it again, even though it would be summer and outside and there would be animal sounds, and that kind of stuff. We would have to sift through. But the stuff we caught was not, there was no way to mistake it as being a dying rabbit unless the dying rabbit spoke English.
Rabbits do not say numbers.
Yeah, not typically. Right. So yeah, that would be cool to go back down there and try that one out. I don't really have anything else. I mean, we do have investigations coming up. We can do that anytime. We've got the place in Buffalo, Missouri. We're going to go. The bridal shop where they're doing the renovations. We're going to get on there and get that one done. We'll do the podcast live. She said that would be fine with her to do the podcast while we're there. So we got stuff coming up, and we'll just have to get a schedule and get it going.
Well, we'll be back soon with another episode of Midwest Ghost Hunters Dark Matter Podcast.